Hi, welcome back. You know, in each series there has to be a crazy painting, and I thought today this would be our crazy painting. So let's start out and have them run all the colors across the screen that you'll need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, let me show you what's happened up here. I have my standard old pre-stretched 18 by 24 inch canvas, but you use whatever size is convenient. And today I've taken a little bit of acrylic paint, black and blue, and just taken a paper towel and I went all over it and let that dry completely. After that's dried completely, then I've covered the entire canvas with a very, very thin coat of the liquid clear. Then I've taken a paper towel and wiped off every bit that I can get off. You can never wipe it all off. It is still very slick and quite wet. But if you put too much clear on here, this is very hard to do. So put it on the least amount that you can, then take a paper towel or a soft rag, wipe every bit of it off that you can get, and then we'll do this. And I think you'll be tickled at what you can do with something that starts out looking this bad. So let's take an old 2-inch brush today, and we'll go right into a little bit of the titanium white. Just a small amount, something like so. I'm just tapping a little into the corner here. And you sort of have to start deciding. I want to make some big clouds up here, and I think today we'll have tell you what, let's do a winter scene today. That's a lot of fun. Just gonna start any old where, making little tiny circles with a corner of the brush. Now some of these colors will show through. And here and there, and there and here, I'm gonna take a little phthalo blue, very little, and just add it to the brush. So we begin getting little white spots and little blue places going here. There, but just mix it, stir it up. Just stir it up. Stir it up. See, some of these dark colors, though, are going to show through. Maybe this is going to look like, maybe it's just before a big storm, big snowstorm. What the heck? It's up to you. You decide. But just sort of vary it back and forth here between the phthalo blue and white and just the pure white. Just tap a little color in. And you could begin making some very basic little cloud shapes. There, just the corner of the brush, just the corner. And you can put these splotches on here with any old color that you find. It doesn't matter. Whatever color you sort of want to show through. There we go. And you'll be amazed at what you can do if you just try. Sometimes, you know, artists sort of have a reputation of being a little different. And that helps sometimes. Let your imagination go. Let it go. Because that's where new ideas come from. It's from imagination. And practice visualizing things in your mind. It's unbelievable what you can do if you just practice a little. And don't be afraid to experiment. There we are. You know, I read some time ago that don't be afraid to go out on a limb, because that's where the fruit is out on the end of the limb. And the same is true here. There. See, now we're not covering up all those little things. Some of them are showing through. And it makes beautiful effects. And it'll drive people crazy trying to figure out how in the world you made them. And you can leave more show or you can cover more up. The white is an opaque color, so it will cover quite strongly. It's totally up to you. There we go. All right. And I'm just going over and over and doing the same basic thing, just to make all these little cloud effects. As I say, it looks like there's a big storm going to come and maybe it's going to snow and all the little creatures will have to hide somewhere. Or maybe they'll just hibernate for a while. All right. Now then, let me find a clean, dry brush. There. And very lightly, we're just going to sort of fluff this and blend it and bring it all together. I don't want to blend it too much. I want to keep some nice variations going here and there, so it looks like it's a mean sky. All right. There. And that's about all I'm going to do to that little sky. But isn't that a nice way of making a sky that's very, very different? Very different. And if you're painting for friends or out in public or something, you start off with a canvas like this, and they'll think you're going to have one wild day. Tell you what, let's take some Prussian blue and some black, maybe even a little alizarin crimson. mix them together. Maybe a little more of the crimson. Ooh, that's nice. Pull it out very flat. Really get tough with it. Cut across, get our little roll of paint as usual. Maybe today, I tell you what, let's have a little mountain that lives right here. Choom. Maybe we'll make a real jagged little mountain. Maybe there's a lot of little things happening on this mountain. So you just decide what kind of mountain you would like to have in your painting and drop it in. It almost looks like the Teton, so if you wanted to paint the Tetons, then that's what it is. There. Tetons have a lot of gorgeous, jaggedy peaks and stuff on it. Very nice. Here a couple of years ago, a lady in class told me what Tetons meant. And I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to look that up if you don't already know. Take the old 2-inch brush and pull. Just pull. I want to remove excess paint and blend it downward. There. Okay, we just sort of let it blend right on out into nothing there. Right out into nothing. Very soft, very gentle. Let's just wash this one. We need a clean brush anyway. And it's a lot of fun to wash the brush. Shake off excess and just beat the devil out of it. Okay. Let's have some snow on our mountain. We'll have some snow. Pull the titanium white out as flat as we can get it. Then we'll cut across and get our little roll of paint right on the edge of the knife. And let's just begin right up in here maybe. Very gentle, no pressure, just the weight of the knife. Just allow it to glide right over there. Choom. Something like so. You know, occasionally, and I've mentioned this in other shows, but occasionally I get letters saying that my knife looks different than the one that people at home have. The only reason it looks any different is because we spray it with just flat black paint so that it doesn't glare. But other than that, it's exactly the same knife. The palette, we take and sand it so it doesn't glare, but it's the same. It's just a clear acrylic. There we are. Even the brushes, we have to put tape over the furrows or they would shine and be very distracting on TV. But other than that, they're exactly the same. Let's take a little, we'll use that phthalo blue and white. I like it. That's a nice color. So pretty. Make us a little shadow color. And choom, we just use a small edge of the knife here and there, or you could just use a small knife. I'm just too lazy to pick it up. Just here and there. I don't want a lot of color back here. I want this to be quite dark, mysterious. A little touch right in there. There, just to give that little valley right in there. Okay. See, you can come back and maybe there's a peak. Yep, you're right. A little peak lives right there. No pressure. Absolutely no pressure. I get letters just about every day, and people say they can't make the snow break here. They're having difficulty with that. It's one of two things, 99 times out of 100. Either the paint that they're using is too thin, because this is a very thick, dry paint. It is not like normal oil paints. Or, most common, is that they're applying too much pressure with a knife. Very, very little pressure. Whisper. Clean, dry brush. I want to create the illusion of mist at the base of this mountain. If the big storms come, and chances are the clouds are rolling in and there's a lot of mist, and as I say, the little creatures, they're looking for a place to hide. Creatures seem to sense when a storm's coming. I lived in Alaska for a lot of years, and there's a lot of little earthquakes, little tremors that happen. And I had some beautiful cockatiels, beautiful birds. And you could tell before the tremor hit that it was going to, because the birds would get sort of crazy and they'd start screaming and jumping around their cages, and 9 times out of 10 there'd be a little tremor pretty soon. I'm going to take a little white, a little phthalo blue. I'm going to have a clouded. I'm going to let these clouds literally just come right over the top of the mountains here. Just so there's some nice clouds floating right in here. covering up the whole base of this. You can tap a little here and there. There they are. Just soften it. Okay, now with a clean dry brush, be sure it's clean and dry. We can just sort of stir them up a little and then blend them so that they just set way back here and that whole mountain just lays right in there. All right. Isn't that neat? Now then, let's have some fun. Let me grab one of my little half-size oval brushes. These are half the size of our original oval brushes. I'm going to go right into that dark color that we made the mountain out of. That's good color. Black, Prussian blue, alizarin crimson. And let's go up in here and let's have some happy little trees that live back here at the base of this mountain. And all we're doing is just tapping, and lay in some very basic little shapes. I'm not looking for detail, only basic shapes at this time. We'll begin to show shape and form when we put the highlights on. This is just a dark, so the light will show. You always have to have dark in order to show light, or light in order to show dark. There. Just like in life, we have to have a little sadness to appreciate the good times. There we are. Because if everything was good all the time, pretty soon you'd begin just accepting that as normal. Once in a while you need a little sorrow in your life, probably. There. Maybe a little tree up here, wherever. This little brush just makes some of the most gorgeous little tree shapes. Very simply. Now we'll take a liner brush, dip it in a little paint thinner, go right into that same color. Doesn't matter. I want to make this thin, almost like ink. And with that, here and there and there and here, we'll put in an indication of a little stick and a twig and trunk. Little place for the birds to sit out here. Wherever you think they should be. Even though it's the same color, they'll show up. Now, I have several of these little oval brushes, little round brushes, half-size round brushes. I'm going to dip it into at least a little amount of the liquid white. Then we'll go right into, this is phthalo blue and titanium white. Okay, let's go back up in here. And with that color, we'll come back, see, and just tap. That's all you got to do, just tap. There. And we can begin adding in all kinds of little highlights onto these trees, make them gorgeous. A lot of times, I like to make paintings that are very warm for winter scenes. But I've got numerous letters from people saying they wanted a cold winter scene. This is a cold winter scene. You may have to put your heavy coat on just to paint it. There's a big old tree lives back in there. But that's all there is to it. Just sort of vary the brush so you get different shapes and forms, whatever you want. Whatever you want. Mix up a little more of the white and the phthalo blue. Ran out of color. There. Little bit more of the liquid white. And we'll just reload the brush. And there and here and here and there. We can put in all kinds of little things. There. See? But just layer after layer after layer. Just as many little doers back here as you want. Now, time for your bravery test. Let's take the old 2-inch brush and go right into titanium white and load it, just like you're trying to load it to a chisel edge. Load some color into it. Now in reality, you could use your 1-inch brush or even the fan brush. The 2-inch brush though, it really works nice. It holds a lot of color and you can get in here, and I want to put some snow back in here. And see, it'll do it very quickly. You can just go right in and drop it in. I want to put the indication of some snow. Very soft and gentle. Tell you what, I'm going to get the full-size round brush. because I want to do bigger things. I want to do them a little faster here. I would take the black and the blue, a little bit of the alizarin crimson, load the brush full. In my world, I think I want a big tree right here. Just a great, big old happy tree. But notice we put the snow in first, so it looks like it's behind the tree. It would be a son of a gun to try to sneak that snow in after you've put this in. Unless you allowed the painting to dry, and then you took your little tiny one-haired brushes and you snuck in there and done this. This makes it much, much easier. All we're looking for here is just a very basic little shape. Well, this tree keeps growing. Okay, what the heck? What the heck? This tree is it's bigger than the mountain. It just indicates it's closer to us. Closer to us. There. And it's, if you've painted with me before, you know I always like these big trees in my painting. I think it just helps push everything back and helps achieve that illusion of distance. There. And painting is nothing but games of illusion. Let's go over here on the other side. Maybe there's another tree over here. Whatever you think. There, maybe it just goes to here. I don't want to cover up my whole mountain. Okay, something like that. Right along in there. Now then, we'll go back to our little liner brush. A little more of the paint thinner. And this is very thin. Once again, it's almost like ink. Very thin. Turn the brush. This liner brush has very long hair. Turn it. So it comes to a nice point, loads a lot of paint into the bristles. Let's go up here. Now then, we can come up in here, and there, and here, and here, and there. Just put the indication of a few little tree trunks. Don't need much. I'm going to put a few highlights on here, so you're not going to see a lot of it. But we know they're there, even if we cover them all up. And it's good practice. And when you practice and learn, it's not wasted. It's never wasted. Let's go on the other side, and we want a few in this little tree right here. Something like that. A little more of the paint thinner. Maybe. Here. A lot of times there's limbs that protrude out of the top of old trees that doesn't have anything on them. Maybe part of the tree has died. There we go. Something like that. A little more of the paint thinner. Maybe here's a big old limb. It lives right out over here. You make the decision. You decide. You decide where all these things are. There. These are nice scenes here. I like these old cold winter scenes. I lived in Alaska for a long time, and this sort of looks like home to me. All right. Wash the old brush. Let's go back to our little half-size round brush here that has the phthalo blue and white on it. Go to that old big tree over there, and let's put a few little highlights on it too. We don't want him left out here naked. There we are. Think about shape and form, and begin just putting all kinds of little doers in there. There we go. Put a little more of the liquid white on my brush. The paint's not sticking well. It's because it's not thin enough. And you put a little touch of the liquid white on there and go back, and then see, it sticks very easily now. Very easy. That's what we're looking for. We want easy painting. There. We don't want to make this any harder than it is. It's too much fun. Painting just makes you happy, so no use making it complicated. Shoot, enjoy it. Enjoy it. There's too many complicated things in our life already. There. Okay. All right. A little more of the liquid white. And you can sort of tell by the touch when you touch the brush. If you need a little more or a little less liquid white, it'll tell you. A little practice and you'll know immediately if the paint's too thick or it's too thin. Just when you touch the canvas, if it doesn't pull right. There. And the paint will always go to the thickest area. In other words, if the thickest paint is on the canvas, then it'll pull the paint off onto the canvas. If the thickest paint's on your brush, then it takes the paint off the canvas onto your brush. So if you're getting a tremendous amount of color on your brush off the canvas, that's all that's wrong. If you remember those little guidelines, little rules there, then anytime that happens, you know immediately why. It's easy to cure. Easy, easy to cure. A little more of the liquid white. There. See, and we'll just put some little things here. In Alaska, they have ice fog when it gets very cold, and the water molecules in the air actually freeze. But the ice fog collects on every little branch, every twig. It looks like crystals. It is the most gorgeous thing you have ever seen. If you've never experienced it, it is beautiful. Cold, but it is gorgeous. Telephone wires get huge. It looks like trees are in full foliage. It's just, I was born and raised in Florida, and I had never seen snow till I was about 20 years old, and the Air Force sent me up here, a little white on here. And I think they found out I had never seen snow. And you know, Uncle Sam sometimes has a weird sense of humor. They sent me to Alaska in January. Anchorage, Alaska. And before that, I thought ice was something that just grew in the refrigerator. I didn't know it actually would grow on the ground. And I got off the airplane, the first thing I did was slide on the ice, and you know the rest of the story. And everybody thought it was funny. I'm gonna put a little cabin right there, I think. So I'm gonna make some brown. I'm gonna take some sap green and a little bit of the alizarin crimson, about equal parts. Mix them together. You have to mix this pretty good. Normally we don't mix color very well. This we have to mix pretty good. Okay. Easiest way I know to make a little cabin. Take your knife, scrape out a basic shape. Something like so. Very basic. You're doing two things here. You're laying the cabin out and you're removing excess paint. But you're not committed. See, that's all you have to do. And we can take a little bit of that brownish color. A little bit of the brownish color. Let's start back here with the back eave. I love this brown color that's made with the green and the crimson. There. See, all we're doing now is just laying in color, just blocking it in. There. And you could do this with any old thing. There we go. Now, take a little of that same color. I'm going to add a little white to it. A little bit of white, and then very lightly, barely touch it, just like laying snow on the mountain. Just barely let it graze and come right down like that. Create the illusion of old wood. Take a little bit of that dark color, come back in here, make it look like there's old planks, old boards, whatever. Just by touching. Take a little more of that dark color. We need a door. Got to have a way to get in and out. Pull across like that. See, over in here, extremely dark. See almost nothing. But maybe you can make out, yep, there's a little window over there. Now, got to put something on his roof. We'll just use some titanium white. Snow's covered his roof. Snow's a pretty good insulator. So if you got a lot of snow on your roof, keeps you warm. Choom. There we go. Snow's really filled up this one, a little bit on the other side, something like that. Then we just do a cabinectomy. In other words, we'll cut it off however we want it. Like so. Shoot. Maybe there's even a little chimney. Yep. Sometimes I don't put chimneys on my cabin and people write and say, why not? Put snow in there. Nobody's home. Nobody's home. Lights are on, but nobody's home. Take just the white, titanium white, and let's just begin filling all this up. Something like so. Back to our big old round brush. I'm going to put maybe a little bush lives right out here. Just sort of to help the perspective and everything of the painting. About like that. Back to our little half-size round brush. Little phthalo blue and white. A few little highlights on there. There. Tell you what, for the people that wanted a cold winter scene, this is cold. Whew. Temperatures went down 20 degrees right in here since we've started this. All right. Okay, now with the white, grab the bottom of this, allow it to pick up a little of that bluish color. So it looks like shadows right behind the bushes. And then begin blending it all together. Like so. Back to our liner brush. A little paint thinner. A little bit of light color. Maybe you can see a stick and a twig and just all kinds of little things living back in here. We don't know exactly where they all are. Wherever you think they should be. A few little dark things. Shoot, we're about. Look at there. Now then, I'm going to take a little of the phthalo blue and white. And I'm just going to tap in some little bushes right over on this side of the cabin. Sort of close that side in. Little stick here and there. Put a little something underneath, and I think we're about to have a finished painting. It's a very simple little painting. You ought to try it because I think you'll really enjoy it. And you can see what happens with a crazy canvas. So, on behalf of the entire staff, I'd like to wish you happy painting, and God bless, my friend.